Who is the most effective pro-gun member of Congress so far in 2023? I'm going to answer that question for y'all out there here in just a second. And it's not just one, it's actually three members of Congress who we believe here at AFA have been the most effective so far in 2023. Welcome in, everyone. Patrick Parsons here with the American Firearms Association. I've got a couple of favors for you here right at the beginning of the video. If you're watching us on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to our channel so you can get more of our content quickly when it comes online. Now, back to that question. Who are the most effective pro-gun members of Congress so far in 2023? Number one in our book is Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida. Not only is he our lead Abolish the ATF Act sponsor, he is also the lead sponsor of the National Stand Your Ground Act. Congressman Gaetz uses his social media platforms. He uses the conservative media and even the fake news media on many occasions to push the issues that he cares about the most, not just on guns, but on other issues as well. When it comes to Abolish the ATF Act, which he introduced back in January, it was a massive explosion, not only in the media, but on conservative news outlets, in pro-gun YouTube channels, not only our email list, but on other gun group email lists as well across the country. Tens of millions of gun owners saw that piece of legislation was introduced. And in our opinion, it has totally changed the game on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. You can't talk to staff, you can't talk to members of Congress without talking about abolishing, defunding, getting rid of the ATF. And for good reason. The Biden administration has illegally, unconstitutionally, and tyrannically used the ATF to attack gun owners, not only this year, but in the first 2 years of his administration as well. Gaetz turned it right back on them. He says, you know what? We're going to get rid of the ATF. We're going to defund. We're going to get rid of them. We're going to totally eliminate it. And we're going to stop it from even existing. Now, here is a video clip of Congressman Gaetz talking about abolish the ATF on the floor of the House.
It needs to go. We need to abolish the ATF before they abolish our Second Amendment rights. Alcohol, tobacco, and firearms should be the name of a chain of convenience stores in Florida, not a federal agency. I urge every red-blooded American and every conservative in this Congress to stand with Representative Clyde and his legislation and to stand with me and co-sponsor my bill, the Abolish the ATF Act of 2023. Let's get rid of this unlawful agency once and for all, and let this special order be considered a shot across the bow. I yield back to the gentleman from Georgia.
So there you see it. That is another reason we believe Gaetz is an effective legislator and one of the most effective pro-gun legislators in Congress, because he uses all these platforms, whether it be C-SPAN, whether it be the floor of the House. He goes on television. He goes on shows like I'll show you here in just a second, The War Room with Steve Bannon, to push the issues that he cares about. And as a consequence, fight for gun owners on this issue here in Washington, D.C. Now, he also assisted our number two, you're going to see him in just a second, number two most effective legislator so far this year in Congress on the gun issue is Congressman Andrew Clyde. So a couple months back, Congressman Gaetz and a number of his colleagues went to the House floor and they told Kevin McCarthy, you better put the pistol brace ban repeal, CRA, introduced by Congressman Clyde, you better put it on the floor for an up or down vote. We better pass this thing. We're not going to let any other bill through the Congress. And at the time, the most important bill in the world to McCarthy and his gang was the gas stove bill. We got to protect the gas stoves. Okay, worthy cause. But what about the 40 million American gun owners who were potentially felons because they owned a pistol brace? There was a lot of problems with that. And Gaetz said, you know what? We're not letting anything through. And here's that clip right now where Gaetz went public, not only on his social media, but on the War Room with Steve Bannon, and mobilized tens and tens of thousands of gun owners to take action.
Are you guys now going to force, nothing's going to come to the floor until the pistol brace bill comes up?
I only speak for myself in this regard, but I am not voting for any rule to advance any other piece of legislation to the floor before that pistol brace bill is heard. Because it's not Andrew Clyde that's the victim here. It's the tens of millions of Americans, many of whom served our country, their mental health put in jeopardy, potentially their liberty put in jeopardy. And what I worry about now is whether or not that bill will pass, because I'm already now hearing rumblings, and Lauren is the co-chair of our Second Amendment caucus, but that some of the moderates now in a retaliatory effort might just vote against the bill. So we still need
American
the posse.
Citizens.
Yeah, we need the posse to be calling offices and telling folks that they want them to be a yes on that pistol brace bill.
And when do you think pistol brace? If you've stopped the gas stove messaging bill, you've stopped the RAINS Act messaging bill, when can people anticipate? Is this all week just going to be a fight between you guys in leadership, trying to a show of muscle about what can come to the floor and can't?
It's a very dynamic situation, Steve.
We love it. Can you guys stay one more segment? Okay.
So that's yet another reason why we believe Gaetz is quite effective and, in fact, the most effective pro-gun member of Congress so far in 2023. I've got one more clip for you. It was Congressman Gaetz at TPUSA, basically encapsulating the last 7 months, starting with the speaker fight in January, introducing Abolish the ATF, introducing National Stand Your Ground Act, fighting for the pistol brace ban repeal on the floor of the House, and assisting his colleague, Andrew Clyde. And then now to where we are, we're at congressional recess. This is why we believe he is the most effective. He used all this leverage and power that he built up to fight for gun owners. Here's that last clip.
Earlier this year, we put the Speaker and the world on notice. No more cheerfully presiding over American decline on our watch. No more messaging bills. No more press releases devoid of action. No more bluster and bullshit masquerading as bravado.
So now, Gaetz, quite effective. Number two, and there's an argument here. Andrew Clyde, very, very effective. Congressman Andrew Clyde from Georgia so far this year. I have to give him credit. He worked not only his conservative colleagues, or not just conservative colleagues, but all colleagues. He had about 180 or 190 co-sponsors there in Congress on his pistol brace ban repeal bill that ultimately passed the House. But he also worked all gun groups across the country on this issue, mobilized gun owners in a very effective way to ultimately pass this pistol brace ban repeal through the Congress. It died barely over in the Senate, but the fight was there, and we believe that's why he was or is our number two most effective pro-gun member of Congress so far in 23. Play that clip of Congressman Clyde on the House floor fighting for gun owners.
Now, keep in mind, this rule doesn't just violate Americans' Second Amendment liberties, it also subverts Congress's sole legislative authority, because Congress makes laws, not unelected anti-gun bureaucrats at the ATF. Yet with the snap of ATF Director Dettelbach's finger and non-existent authority, millions of law-abiding gun owners, including many disabled veterans, will become criminals, felons overnight if they refuse to register, turn in, destroy, or dismantle their pistol brace firearms. For months, I have promised gun owners that I would relentlessly fight the ATF's unconstitutional pistol brace rule on their behalf, and I mean it. Later this month, this body will pass my Congressional Review Act joint resolution, HJ Res 44, to prevent the Biden administration's tyrannical measure from taking effect. We are not giving 1 inch in our constitutional right to keep and bear arms. Not 1 inch, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, and I yield back.
So we look for big things out of Congressman Clyde, Congressman Gaetz in the weeks and months ahead, and in future Congresses, should they be reelected, which I believe they will be in 2024. Big stuff coming in the future, especially if Republicans were to get the House, Senate, and the White House. But even if they don't, we still have to have these guys in there grinding and fighting and being effective at fighting for gun owners. Number 3 on our list, some of y'all may not know this particular congressman. He's a freshman from Missouri, Congressman Eric Burleson, but he did something very significant earlier this year. As far as we know, somebody may have introduced this bill way back, but they didn't have any help on the outside pushing it and advancing it. But it's Congressman Eric Burleson from Missouri, one of our close allies in Congress, and even before that in the state legislature in Missouri. He introduced a bill to repeal the National Firearms Act. So in this case, what we believe is most effective is just by introducing the bill, just by talking about it. All the gun groups talking about it all across the country, YouTube channels, bloggers, you start the conversation towards repealing the NFA. Some of y'all out there I know are like, oh, come on, Patrick, it's never going to happen. You don't know that it's going to happen, and it especially won't happen unless the legislation is introduced and potentially it is voted on. If y'all don't know what the NFA is, the National Firearms Act, it is basically the genesis of the anti-gun actions of Congress over the last 100 years. They have empowered the unelected bureaucrats, people in Congress, to attack our Second Amendment rights. And when you hear these people on the left, they always refer back to the National Firearms Act. So we've got to repeal the NFA, and big props to Congressman Burleson for putting himself out there as an effective pro-gun member of Congress by introducing the National Firearms Act. And we were proud here at the American Firearms Association to work with him and his staff on getting that bill introduced. We worked with Burleson, with our state-level affiliate, the Missouri Firearms Coalition, for almost a decade to pass constitutional carry, stand your ground, castle doctrine, expansion, or lifetime permit expansion, and some other things. So we say this with great confidence that Burleson is one of the most effective pro-gun members, not only in Congress, but over the last decade. And in fact, he may have passed more pro-gun legislation than any other elected official at any level of government over the last decade. We look for big things out of Congressman Burleson in the future as well. So that's our top 3 list. Congressman Matt Gaetz, Congressman Andrew Clyde of Georgia, Congressman Eric Burleson of Missouri. They are our top 3. There's other effective pro-gun members of Congress, and they need to get their props at some point as well. We have a lot of hearings so far this year, and a lot of guys have made big noise in advancing, talking about, sometimes it's just talking about an issue. It goes viral on social media, goes viral on YouTube, Rumble, goes viral all over, and it gets gun owners and people and their colleagues thinking about the unconstitutional actions that have taken place, not only in the ATF, but in general in Congress over our Second Amendment rights over the last 100 years. So, guys, that's our top 3 list. If you like our content, again, please like this video, subscribe to our page, get on our email list, join up at joinafa.org, join the American Firearms Association today, guys. We will talk to y'all soon. Stay active, stay mobilized, stay involved, never back down, never give an inch, never apologize for what you believe in. This Second Amendment fight at the state and federal level and in the courtrooms is never, ever, ever going to end in any of our lifetime. So it's vital that you stay active, mobilized, and involved. I'm Patrick Parsons with the American Firearms Association. We will talk to y'all soon. Hope you have a great day.